Jocko, I should have asked in Muster 006, is there a dichotomy in the unmitigated daily discipline in all things?
Yeah, and like I said, this is why I put this question here, because it's related to the answer that I just gave, which is yes, you can. You can overdo it. And there is a dichotomy. You can put so much focus on working. You can put so much focus on working that you lose track of your family.
Yeah.
And everything goes downhill with your family. Or you can do the opposite, put so much focus on your family that you lose track of, that you don't do what you're supposed to do at work. So you need to back off a little. And you get people that waste time on things that don't matter. This goes back, remember the podcast we did where I was talking about how, like a black belt, when a white belt's grabbing a black belt sleeve, and it just doesn't matter. There's people that think that it's important that I do this thing this certain way, and the reality is it's useless. It doesn't matter. You're being OCD, right? You're being OCD. So, or you maybe not being full OCD, but you're being borderline. You got to think about what's important and what's not important. And if you generally, or oftentimes, people that are hyper disciplined about little things, a lot of times they're missing their discipline in other areas of their life. And one of them, we've talked about this before too, which is somebody that, just because someone is hyper disciplined in their physical fitness doesn't mean that they're disciplined in their rest of their life in many other ways, whether it's financial, whether it's their relationships, whatever, like everything. They can be screwing they're super disciplined in weighing their food and doing macro calorie counting and all that stuff, right? Yeah. And yet they haven't paid their phone bill or whatever, and they've got financial issues, or they've got other health issues. And so you need to back off enough on the little things that don't matter, that so that the things that matter you can actually take care of. Now, the weird dichotomy in this is, again, it always comes up, the Russian soldiers in the Chechen War not shaving. Is it really important that they shave? Not really. But what's really important is that they have discipline overall. And when they stop shaving, they let go of their discipline. And that was the problem. Now, so there is a balance. That's what I'm saying. There's a balance. And I guess, let me make that a little more clearly. If we were in a war and what I was focused on was, Echo, you better shave tomorrow. That was my big focus. Echo, your uniform better be squared away tomorrow. Like that is not what the most important thing is. Like, Echo, do you understand where the fallback positions are? Echo, do you understand what your field of fire is? Echo, do you know what you're supposed to do when we start getting overrun? Those are what's important. But if I focus on this little thing that doesn't really matter, that can be a problem. So I need to make sure that I'm focused on the correct things. And in life, yes, you can unmitigated daily discipline if you try to apply it to absolutely everything in your life, just like prioritize and execute. If you try and solve all your problems at the same time, you won't be able to solve any. If you try and implement perfect discipline in every single thing that you do, you won't be able to apply discipline to the things that are most important. My garage gym floor is dirty.
Okay.
I sweep it.
Sure, of course.
I sweep it every third day. I just sweep it out. But I don't get in there with a bucket and a mop and try and clean the chalk off so it's perfect black.
Sure.
Why?
Because
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, man.
So some things in life are like your gym floor.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's chalk on it. I'm going to put more chalk on it later. The chalk doesn't make me slip. It doesn't make me sick. It doesn't, I don't care how it looks. So don't worry about the chalk on the gym floor. In fact, there's gyms in the world where you're not allowed to have chalk because they don't want chalk on the gym floor. Those places shouldn't exist in the world. They should be illegal.
Yes.
There should be chalk everywhere in the gym.
Available, you're right. Floor.
So don't focus on things that don't matter. There you go.
Yeah, man. It seems like the whole discipline equals freedom thing, and whether you agree with it or not, actually, I think you will agree with this. It's a dance. It's a dance with discipline and freedom.
You mean a balance of a dichotomy? Yes, it is. In fact, I wrote a book about it. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you pointing that out to me.
So, and it's gonna
maybe I should take ownership too.
It just depends on who you are. Like the discipline is gonna be taking the lead big time. you know. And when you exercise your freedom with, I don't know, diet-wise is like what? Mint chocolate chip ice cream or something like this. When you exercise that freedom, it's not going to be very often, but when you do, boom, it's going to have benefits.
Yeah, and that's when you see somebody that's, let's just talk about this. Well, when you see somebody that's out of shape, you could say one of two things. You could say not enough discipline, right, or you could say too much freedom. Right?
Too much freedom.
We know it's one of those two things.
Yes.
If you see someone that's having financial issues, it's one of two things. Right. Not enough discipline or too much freedom. They're getting out that credit card when they shouldn't be. Right?
Yeah.
So, that goes without saying that it's a balance. It's a dichotomy. That's correct.
Yeah. So even, and also on top of that, the discipline in all things, because that's the question, right? In all things.
Maybe you could write a book called The Dance.
The Dance, sure.
Of Leadership.
I'll just copy the dichotomy later. It'll be all good. But in all things, like discipline in diet, discipline in workouts and not slacking and whatever, and that looks way different than discipline in like relationships, for example. Like if you're like a different, like to the discipline not to lose your temper, or the discipline to respond to a maybe not disciplined person, or let's say someone you love who's maybe emotionally different than you or whatever. That looks and feels way different, you know, if you really think about it. So if you're like, hey, I'm not gonna, I don't know, I'm not going to go to the park with my wife because I'm working out. That's my discipline. I'm slack, kind of thing.
Yeah, so you're lacking the discipline to organize around your relationship properly.
Exactly right, with your relationship or whatever.
You're lacking the discipline to make sure that your wife understands that you're going to train.
Yes, or yeah.
Because I'm going to train, boy.
Yeah, but as far as we're like, and now that's back on the training again, but like with like your relationships, unless your relationships aren't important to you, which is, I mean, I would argue most times there's some relationships in your life that are going to be important. I would argue that.
Well, yeah, there should be.
I think so too. Yes. So
that's what you have a SEAL platoon for.
Maintaining discipline in those relationships looks different. So it might not be as obvious. So when someone says when you say unmitigated discipline in all things, I don't think automatically right off the top of my head like, oh, my relationship with my wife, or even the relationship with your kids. Like when I think unmitigated daily discipline in all things, including my kids, so I'm gonna make sure they're disciplined. Oh, but the discipline of yourself dealing with the kids, that's a whole different thing. See what I'm saying?
True.
So you gotta kind of keep those in mind. Well, I found
you gotta focus the discipline on yourself.
Yeah, I found when I keep that in mind, it'll help. And then, and do the dance with freedom. You designate how much freedom you're going to exercise. Mm-hmm. And then you do the dance. See what I'm saying?
You balance the dichotomy is what you do.
Yeah.
I don't dance, bro.
Right, you dance. Right. And here's the thing.
Come on, man.
Here's the wrong thing, what I made a mistake of. At one point, long time ago. I looked at you and I was like, shoot, I need to do that. I need to wake up. I need to like do all this stuff or whatever. But if I were to do that, I'd jam myself up. So you can't use like the next person as the standard as far as the balance goes. Like you have to designate your own balance.
Yeah, because you have to modulate for your life.
Yeah. Whatever, bro. People don't just automatically know that. I know I didn't.
Check.
Figured it out.
I didn't see you getting up at 4:30 at any point, though.
Yeah, I tried. And you know that, dude.
Check.
Anyway.